Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Kansas Missing and Unsolved podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Tchabergi, up here in Salina, and down there in Elkhart. Down there's Hope and Derek. How's it going down there?
Oh, it's going pretty good. How are you, Ricky?
Oh, day by day, day by day. That's all I can say.
I hear that.
It's been a busy day. Did 5 flyers before I even got out the door to go to the laundromat this afternoon. So,
jeez,
crazy morning. That's okay though. Got to get them found. Hey, Rodney. There's Chris Unruh, Janice Grisham, Margaret DeYounger.
Thanks everybody for joining us, considering you were probably up till 2 or 3 in the morning watching the news and then you had to go to work all day. Thank you for real. Like I think a lot of people are probably in bed right now after the last 24 hours.
That could be. Margaret DeYounger, Relaford from New York City.
What time did you go to bed, Ricky?
Sometime between midnight and 1.
Were you pretty confident you had a new president when you went to bed?
Oh, I was. Yeah, I think so. I would think so because I was checking the numbers before I went to bed, and he had a pretty decent lead going when I went to bed. So I was like, yeah, he'll probably pull it off. And I got up this morning and checked, and he won. So
yeah, that's pretty landslide victory, man. That's pretty wild to watch.
I found out about 9:30 this morning who won.
Just on Facebook? Did they tell you? Or?
No, James, my boyfriend, called me and told me we had a new president. I was like, cool.
Wow, he found out before you.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's pretty bad.
And Ellen's here from Leavenworth. How you doing, Ellen?
Ellen Dots. Yeah.
My brother just popped in. Hey, little brother.
Well, we got a lot of flyers to get to. Ricky, anything happened since we didn't do a show last week because of Halloween? How was your Halloween since we haven't talked since then?
No, quiet. I live in an apartment building. Nobody ever trick-or-treats here, so it was quiet.
Nobody? I figured that since you were all right there together, there'd be like maybe people would put their lights on and certain people would hand out candy or...
No, I got a light right outside my apartment door, so I mean... I don't know, just nobody ever comes in the building and trick-or-treats, so... Because you actually have to come in from the outside to get to the apartment, so... I guess that's probably why, which is all right.
We live out in the country, so we didn't really but we were out trick-or-treating ourselves, so...
Yeah.
I was working.
Oh. I'm trying to remember if I worked that day or not. I don't remember. I think I did. Yeah, I did work that day. I did work that day.
Very busy lately. Like every time I go there, it's a nut house just with like how many people are at the drive-thru is your biggest problem as far as like you all staying busy. You guys have that thing is just wrapped around the building all day. Seems like every time I drive by there.
Yeah. Right.
Wow,
yeah, we've been busy out of work, let me tell you. Ooh.
We'll just wait till Black Friday, man. Yeah. That'll be I don't work in a department store, but I market for one. And I got a piece of paper today.
Lay down.
Yesterday morning. Lay down. I got a piece of paper yesterday morning at a meeting, and just for the store that I market for, it's Black Friday promotions, and it's just so much. It's crazy.
And Margaret saying, Ricky, I pray one day there'll be no need to read any new flyers missing in unsolved Kansas. Yeah, that would be good. And Chris is, I don't know if he's asking or is it snowing in Elkhart?
Is it snowing out there?
No. Nope, it's just really cold.
Yeah, it's very, I know that it's basically snowing not far from here on the Colorado side, like anywhere from like 50 miles. I think they're getting flurries, and so it's right here on us basically. It's cold. Tonight's the first night me and Stephanie are putting our cars in our garage.
Wow.
Which is an awesomely insulated garage, so they're going to be nice and toasty in the morning. But yeah, it's this morning was just like the final straw. Both of us we started our cars to warm them up, and there was just like both of our windshield wipers were stuck to the windshields. It was just frozen. So yeah, more. Wow. We have a garage. We're going to use it.
Oh, there's one for Hope here. Whatever you're wearing looks so comfy.
It is. I got it off of Temu. It's fabulous.
That makes a lot of sense now. So what it is that's large enough to cover my van.
God.
the biggest hoodie I've ever seen in my life. It's like one of those Snuggies, but it's just
Yeah.
a hoodie.
It's just short. It goes about mid-thigh to me.
They took like a king size blanket and then made a hoodie out of it. It's really big. Stephanie offered her a blanket, and she said no. She's fine.
Wow.
Toasty. We got the wood pellet stove burning though. We're doing good. Well, let's get into some cases. Dietrich Foster. I know there's a Facebook page. Again, everybody watching, when we share these groups, like they're just know that go to a group ran by individuals. Like there could be some stuff on there that they might be calling people out and stuff. Just remember that do it the right way. If you think you know somebody that hurt Dietrich Foster, don't post it on social media. Tell it to a detective. Tell it to a cop. And with the red box on this flyer, there's 5,000 reasons to tell a detective or Crime Stoppers. But we do want you to go to these groups and kind of see what information is out there. But just be careful with the speculation department. Try not to have any speculation coming from your fingertips. But Ricky, go ahead with Dietrich.
Right. Well, actually, real quick on the heels of them, I also, talking about making comments on posts and stuff like that. I've had to post this, I don't know how many times in the last couple of months. I do welcome comments on the flyers, but I ask that everybody please watch what you're commenting, because the families do see the comments, they do see the posts, and it is very upsetting to them. I had a situation today where I posted a flyer for a gal, and her sister saw it, and I can't remember the guy's last name, but his first name's Christopher, last name starts with a U, I think. And not Enru, sorry, it's not Enru. But it's like Uptaka or Untaka, something like that, something weird. But he posted on this gal's flyer just right off the bat and said that she was murdered. And her sister did wind up seeing that. And her sister, and I reached out to the sister because I hadn't talked to her previously, and told her not to pay attention to him, that he's just spouting off a bunch of crap. And she told me through the course of our conversation that it scared her so bad that she almost had to go to the hospital because her blood pressure shot up. So while I do welcome comments on the flyers, please be mindful of what you guys are. I know none of you guys make bad comments, but I'm just saying in general, just watch what's being commented, because like I said, the families do read these, see these posts, they read through the comments and stuff, and they don't need to see anything that's going to upset them or hurt them or anything like that. And I wound up banning the guy because I was just he seems to do that on a lot of flyers. He'll post crap like that on a lot of flyers. So I just finally had to just ban him because I was tired of dealing with him. It was ridiculous.
On my cousin Suzanne Johnson, when I first went public with it, and you do appreciate people's interest in true crime and stuff, but at a certain point it gets silly. A girl started commenting like, well, what if her dad did it? Like just really weird stuff. And then so I messaged her probably. I was like, hey, do you know somebody? Like, what is your source? And she's like, well, I don't know anything. I'm just kind of wondering and guessing. I was like, yeah, well, people are really upset about what happened to Suzanne. I don't think we need somebody with a megahorn just saying, hey, maybe this happened to her. I was like, and especially since you're spouting off things, this is a 50-year-old case we know for a fact aren't true. Like you're speculating on things that have already been proven fact. So yeah, just be careful being an armed detective in these comment sections. But yeah, go ahead and talk about Dietrich again. $5,000 reward here, everybody.
All right. Okay. Dietrich's missing from Independence, Kansas since April 12, 2020. He was 37 when he went missing. He would now be 42. He's 5'9", 190 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. He was reported missing on May 12th of 2020. He was last seen around April 12th of 2020 in Independence. KBI agents and detectives from the Independence Police Department are conducting the case as a homicide based upon findings during the investigation into Dietrich's disappearance. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 37. He's now 42. He's 5'9", weighs 190 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. He has a scar on his chest from heart surgery, a scar on the right side of his nose. He has the following tattoos: a cross on his right forearm, the astrological sign for Gemini on his right arm, 3 dice on his arm, the name Dejeuner on his arm, and the word foo on his abdomen. If you have any information regarding Dietrich's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call the Independence, Kansas Police Department at 620-332-1700 or KBI at 785-296-4017. And there is a governor's reward of $5,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the disappearance and suspected murder of Dietrich Foster. So again, you have any information on what may have happened to him, get it to the Independence, Kansas Police Department, get it to the KBI, let them, determine whether it's something that they need or, might help get them closer to figuring all this out. But definitely call it in. Please, please. We want to bring him home.
There's never been any updates really as far as just them recirculating the information. They added the reward. There's never really been any like concrete updates, right?
Right. No, I haven't seen any concrete updates at all. Yeah.
That's crazy too.
No.
I mean, you would think something would come up somewhere.
Yeah. You would think.
Especially with the reward. Like $5,000 is a lot of money to most Americans. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'd love $5,000 right now. That'd help some things out. It's like, I'm sorry. If you hurt somebody and I catch wind of it, you better be a pretty, like, I don't know. I'd probably rat on anybody for $5. To me, it's just, I'm with Hope. I think it's odd that you have money involved. The police at least have enough information to feel comfortable using the word, homicide or murder. I'm with Hope. That stinks. And if you go to that Facebook page, you'll see a lot of speculation and stuff. But even then, it's just, I feel like this is one of those cases that the closer you get to independence, the more of the story you're going to get, and it just doesn't sound good at all.
Right. Definitely.
Another case that doesn't sound good at all. We had a recent trial hearing where a guy was charged with the murder of Alexander Perez. Based on our source, that he is no longer being charged with that. I haven't seen anything official that said that, but I did hear it from a reliable source who's related to Alexander, which is just, Irene used to watch this show, which is probably one of the reasons we started showing this flyer every week, because his mom was watching the show every week. We haven't seen her in a while.
Long while.
Her family, it's got to be devastating to have a little bit of hope that there's going to be a trial and then find out that those charges were dropped due to lack of evidence, lack of body, just to be crude,
Right. Yeah, it's been a long while since she's been, popping up in the comments. I hope she's okay. I'd like to see her pop back in sometime. But yeah, Alexander Perez has been from Ulysses, Kansas since December 1st of 2020. He's 35 when he went missing. He's now 39. He's 5'11", 235 pounds, has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes. He called a family member via telephone on December 1st and said he'd be coming over to do some laundry. He never arrived at the family member's home in Ulysses, and he's not been heard from or seen by family or friends since then. Alexander had been staying with family and friends prior to his disappearance. At the time of his disappearance, he was 35. He's now 39. He's 5'11", weighs 235 pounds, has black hair that he shaves nearly bald and brown eyes, has a tattoo of a bumblebee on his face underneath his left eye. He has Perez tattooed on one of his arms. He has a tattoo of a cross on a chain across his chest. If you have any information regarding Alexander's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please call the Grant County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 620-356-3500 or the Ulysses, Kansas Police Department at 620-356-4600 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can help get Alex located and back home to his family. Again, if you have any information, no matter how small or minute you may think it might be, please get it called in. It may be a big piece of the puzzle they need. So please call it in.
Absolutely. In this case, it's close to home for me because Ulysses isn't that far away.
Wow.
So that's an hour, right?
Yeah.
I definitely read on Derek for 5,000, but never on Hope.
Thanks, Margaret.
I deserve it. I get it 100%.
Oh, wow.
Silver alert.
Yeah, Kenny Rychek, our buddy from here in town. He's missing from Salina since November 4th, 2019. He was 69 when he was missing. He's now 74. He's 5'9", 175 pounds, gray hair and blue eyes. He does sometimes use the last name Brown. He does suffer from diminished mental health capabilities, and he is on disability, but has not tried to access the funds since he was last seen. He may have family in northwest Kansas, possibly around Colby. He was last seen at the Gospel Mission in Salina. He left there and has not been seen or heard from since. He does not have a vehicle or identification. His main mode of transportation was his bicycle that he rode around, and there's been a little bit of consternation around the bicycle itself because some folks are saying it was stolen. Some say he bought a new one. So we're still trying to sort that one out. So if anybody has any details or information on that, let us know. Again, at the time of his disappearance, he was 69. He's now 74. He is 5'9", 175 pounds, has gray hair and blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Kenny's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210 or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, or you can text SA Tips to Crimes, which is 274-637, or visit www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip, or call the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Kenny located and back to where he needs to be. And I know we've been talking about, you know, the remains that were found in the west part of town a few years ago, and the fundraiser they've got set to try to raise money to help get them to a better lab and where they have a better chance of identifying them. And the latest update on that is they're at $4,102.86 of their $7,500 goal. So they're over halfway there. So, and they have put the link on the page for anybody that wants to contribute toward that. And it has come up considerably because when I was getting ready to do the wrestling show this last Saturday, which got canceled, they were like 4,058. So they've come up another like $50 or so. So they're getting there slow, but they're getting there.
I wonder if there's any way to find out, like to talk to somebody to find out, because you know the skull, we knew about the skull for a while, but you said that it's kind of new information that they had found like a little campsite, maybe perhaps.
Right.
I'm wondering, like, I don't know, like if it is Kenny and there is a little campsite, I would wager that more than likely it wasn't malicious. Maybe he died in the elements. You know, it was a cold time. But I think that you would be able to kind of get a good idea of who was it. Maybe it's not the skull, but you could get a good idea of who was maybe in that tent based on the remnants that were left in there. I don't know. I think that some of that information, and especially in a case like this, there's no crime. Nobody's going to compromise a case. I think it would be important to know what all was found by that. Well, I guess the skull, we can't prove it. I don't know. I just feel like knowing what was in that, in the debris, it looked like somebody was like the shelter that was near the skull. Knowing what was in there could probably help get people talking a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah, because they did say in addition to the skull, they found some more remains in a dilapidated tent. So we know there was a tent nearby. So. But I'm assuming they didn't have any ID or anything inside the tent that they were able to find or anything like that, because I haven't heard anything whether they have or not. But
so there wasn't just a skull; there was a skull, and then in another place there was more remains.
Yeah, initially they said skull, and then when they put this article out about raising money to identify the remains, that article stated there was additional remains found in a dilapidated tent. So we do know that now. So.
See, because to me, like we had that one commenter that was like really giving hell to the chat like a few weeks ago about like how do how dare you charge for that? But I'm kind of starting to, you can convince me that there's not enough DNA in a partial skull found, but if there's a whole bunch, if there's just like more quote unquote more remains nearby, right. I find it hard to believe you can't get some kind of DNA profile out of all of the, like out of everything that's on site. You know what I mean?
Right, there should be something, we would think.
People raising the money and the people doing the tests, God love them. I hope that they can do it. I'm talking just more on state level. You would think that if there's quote unquote more remains, you would think that there's at least some type of something sample worthy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, and they didn't specify what kind of remains. I mean,
they didn't.
Just a bone out of a toe.
Right.
Just said remains.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That last post that I did on Kansas Missing with the fundraiser information, people were really just going to town in the comments about, how the town, how Salina spent money on all this artwork for around town. Why couldn't they have used that? And just other stuff. And it's just like, well, they only have so much of a budget for for the sheriff's department, the police department, the fire department, and stuff like that. But surely you would think they could have redirected some of the money they were using for art toward that, you would think, or some, I don't know. I don't know how all that political stuff works. I have no clue.
Me neither.
But
Victoria from Australia.
yeah, that's cool. That is really cool.
Yes,
Okay. This is Rochelle Elizabeth Hammond, missing from Moscow, Colorado since August 15, 2019. She was 30 when she went missing. She's now 35, 5'6", 120 pounds, black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen walking away from her Moscow, Colorado home. She left all of her belongings behind, including her phone, her ID, her car, computer, tools, and pet dog. Rochelle had only been living in the area for about 3 weeks prior to her disappearance. She had previously lived in the Columbus, Ohio area. She may be homeless. And although police can find little evidence in her disappearance, her mother believes she did not leave of her own accord and may have been a human trafficking victim. Rochelle suffers from bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and has been prescribed medication for her conditions, which she also left behind. Rochelle's nose is pierced. She has numerous tattoos, including the phrase "live like a lion" on her upper chest, a star behind her ear, a skull on the back of her wrist, stars on the inside of her forearm, a cat with a bong on her shoulder, and other tattoos. And I've got pictures of, I guess you'd say, the main ones right there. And she was last known to be wearing a black tank top, khaki shorts, black Nike shoes, and she has a silver circular barbell in her nose, which you can see in all 4 photos there. If you have any information regarding Rochelle's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Alamosa County, Colorado Sheriff's Office at 719-589-6608 and see if we can't help get her located and back home to where she needs to be.
Pretty far away from people that know her, though.
Yeah.
Or she went missing.
And Bianca come from the land down under.
Right.
Where women go and men plunder.
On Rochelle, and from what I was reading on it, she was living with her mother.
Oh, really?
In Moscow.
Okay.
That's why she was reported missing so quickly, because she didn't come home.
Right.
Is that where the sand dune place is?
Yeah, that's the sand dunes. There's also a gator farm out there in Colorado.
A gator farm in Colorado. I wouldn't think they'd be able to survive in that climate.
How far is that from here?
I don't remember.
Wow.
How do you spell it? MESCA?
MOSCA.
Yeah, MOSCA.
We might be going. Me and Norm might be going down there.
We still have that photo in there with the other flyers of the dunes there in Moscow area down there.
So it's about 13 hours from me. That's a no-go.
Ooh, that's a long way.
Hey, this is going to sound like I'm joking, but I'm not really joking. Okay, so obviously the majority of the cases that we cover have some sketchy backgrounds to them, stuff that we don't even know. We just kind of get what we hear. But if you deep dive on them, you can see there's like it's scary for the families. They're like, maybe they, just like that last case, maybe they got trafficked, maybe they got kidnapped, maybe they got murdered. But with the last couple of years, with the government kind of coming out and saying like UFOs are in fact real, do you think, like, I'm asking you honestly, Ricky, do you think that there is such a thing? Do you think that maybe some missing people were like abducted? If there is, like, if our American government is saying that there's like spaceships out there, because there's that. The only reason I bring it up, there was that one guy, I forget his name, but I told you about him a few weeks ago. He was a singer in the 70s, and he went missing, and like a lot of people think he was like, because like his songs were about getting abducted and stuff.
Oh yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name, but I think I know who you're talking about. But yeah,
3 years ago, I would never ask a question that silly, but now it's like the government's like, oh yeah, there's weird stuff out there. I mean, who knows?
I mean, you never know.
I don't think anybody like on that we're covering, but I just always wondered like if there was a thing, like if the
Well, the UFO thingy is
yeah.
just down the road from where she disappeared.
That's what I'm saying. Like you hear all these stories of people disappearing with UFO. I don't know. I've just been thinking about that lately.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know about the UFO abduction type thing, but I mean, you never know. I mean, it's a young lady out walking. You never know who she can encounter while she's out there walking. You know.
Well, I mean, there's been certain missing person cases that are so old that there's gone without a trace. You know, there's never been. You just wonder. You know, you're like, how could somebody just completely disappear? You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I'm seeing Janice Grisham. She just let's see. Her first comment was a little further up. My grandson, is that Aaron? I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Aaron Shorty has been missing a week today. He lives in Independence, Missouri. The car was found on I-35 and 9th Street in Alexa. I do have a flyer up for him, and I forgot to pull it for the show, but I just added it so we can cover it. So let's do Haley Davis here. And there she is. Missing from here in Salina, Kansas since July 21st of 2023. She was 19 when she was missing. She's now 20. She is 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, and she has blue eyes. She did leave Salina, Kansas with a male acquaintance to go to Wichita. She was last active on social media and last heard from on July 21st. Again, at the time of her disappearance, Haley was 19. She's now 20. She is 5'6" to 5'7", weighs between 190 and 200 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed bleach blonde, and she does have blue eyes. If you have any information regarding Haley's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Salina, Kansas Police Department at 785-826-7210, or Crime Stoppers at 785-825-8477, or text SA TIPS to crimes, which is 274-637. Or visit www.pd.salina.org and follow the Crime Stoppers link to submit a tip, or the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-268-4181, or 316-268-4407, or 316-263-6011, or the KBI at 785-296-4017. No shortage of numbers to call or report information. So if you have anything on Haley, please call it in. I know I've talked about this before, but I think it was July. Is it July? Her family had a vigil for her in Sunset Park here in town, and I did go to that and talked with her brother, talked with her aunt, got to briefly meet her son. Didn't really talk to him because he's a rambunctious little guy, but did visit with the aunt and her brother, and they're just so concerned about Haley. They're worried that something bad's happened to her, and so let's just do what we can to help get her found and back to her family. You know, there's enough phone numbers on here that, I mean, for the Salina end of it and the Wichita end of it, you know, if you know something, please call it in.
Absolutely. You know, she's got a baby at home that's growing up without her.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure I'm sure he asks every day where his mom is at. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. And then her follow-up was just turned October at the end, or 22 at the end of October. Harm to himself. Yeah. And like I said, here's this flyer that I was alluding to just a little bit ago. There's so many flyers, probably got to look for him. I hope I'm saying it right. Aaron Shorty Jr., missing from Lenexa, Kansas since October 30th of 2024, is 22, 5'11", 170 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. His car was found abandoned with his cell phone inside on the northbound lane of I-35 and the 95th exit in Lenexa. He may be dealing with mental stress and possibly drug use. He may be a harm to himself. It is unknown if Aaron is still in the Lenexa area, other areas that he may be in, or the Lee Summit or Independence, Missouri areas. And he's 22, 5'11", weighs approximately 170 pounds, has brown hair that was last known to be in a mini afro and brown eyes. If you have any information regarding Aaron's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call the Lenexa, Kansas Police Department at 913-477-7301 or 913-477-7300, or the KBI at 785-296-4017. and see if we can't help get Aaron located and back home to his family. Hopefully. I'm sure hopefully somebody's seen him when he got out of his car or call it in. Call whatever you know in about Aaron.
I don't know what the weather is over there, but I'm assuming it's crappy like it is here.
That's 51 here.
Oh,
I don't know.
What's the temperature here? -40?
You're a
What's
little
the
bit
wind chill?
Well,
That's the real
exaggeratory
question.
here. It is 35 degrees.
Woo.
But it's
Not
windy.
really
I bet you
for
that
those
wind chill.
temperatures.
Feels like 24.
Yeah. It's very cold outside. So, I mean, but even 51, when we were talking about that guy, the guy in Nebraska that took off walking when he got in a fight with his wife.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking. I think I looked it up, and it was going to be like 59 degrees the night he went missing. And I was trying to argue that wasn't cold enough to freeze to death, but that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. That's very cold. 59 degrees is cold.
Yeah.
51 degrees is cold, especially when you add any kind of precipitation. It's cold. That's we're in the time of the year where if you're missing in the middle of the country, it's kind of scary. We need to get you just for your basic, just your body to stay regulated. We need to get you indoors somewhere.
Yep, and Janice is saying thank you, and you're very welcome, Janice. And hopefully this flyer helps. Like I said, it's posted on Kansas Missing and Unsolved. It can be shared from there. So feel free to share it. Feel free to print it and post it. Whatever you want to do with it, feel free to do. And that's why I make them.
Hopefully you can get in contact with Aaron, Janice. That's got to be scary.
Yeah. Yep, and there's Dana Jane Bruce, another one we've been covering religiously for a long time.
Well, yeah, but it kind of, you're talking about Haley Davis. She hasn't seen her kid in so long. Look at how long Dana's seen. Dana's kids have seen her. That's just what I hate. I don't want to see Haley's case go to this far.
Yeah, 16 years. Yeah. Dana Jane Bruce, she went missing from Sedalia, Missouri on October 4th, 2008. She was 23 when she went missing. She's now 39. She was 5'2", 98 pounds, brown hair, green or hazel eyes. She was last seen at her children's babysitter's home in Sedalia. She left the children there earlier that day so she could go out for the evening. She returned at midnight and gave the babysitter more money and asked her to watch the children for the rest of the night. Dana was seen at Malone's Bar on Main Street with a young man driving a late model red Ford F-150 truck earlier on the night of her disappearance. She left with that man at 11:30. Police have identified the man Dana was with the night she vanished. He traveled to Atlanta, Georgia after her disappearance. Police questioned him about Dana after he was arrested there on unrelated charges of marijuana possession and driving on a suspended license. Authorities have not named him publicly, but they are calling him a person of interest in her case. He told his questioners that he and Dana parted ways after they left the bar, and he never saw her after that. She left all of her belongings behind, including her hairbrush and her toothbrush. She does not have any credit cards, debit cards, checking account, cell phone, or a car. Again, at the time of her disappearance, she was 23. She would now be 39. She is 5'2", weighs 98 pounds. She has brown hair that was colored brown at the roots and black at the ends with red highlights and green or hazel eyes. She was last known to be wearing a black shirt with the word Rebel in silver lettering on the front and blue jeans. Dana has a tattoo of a teddy bear with wings and the name Dylan on her upper left arm. She is blind in her left eye. She has a 2-inch scar along her lower spine and a staple scar on her right shoulder. Her ears are pierced 1 time each. If you have any information regarding Dana's disappearance or you know her whereabouts, please call the Sedalia, Missouri Police Department at 660-827-7823 or 660-826-8100 or the Missouri State Highway Patrol at 573-526-6178 or toll free at 866-362-6422. Or you can call Private Investigator Leslie at 910-427-0070 and see if we can help get Dana located and back home to where she needs to be. Because as I touched on before I read the flyer, she's been missing 16 years, so it's long overdue to get her found and brought home.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We got a fire going. I just stood in front of it for a little too long. Sorry about that, buddy.
All right. I'm going to cover this and then I'm going to talk about something else here. As soon as we get done with that. There she is down there. It's Jamie Jasmine Zubia Hernandez. This is, she was 13 years old. She ran away from her foster home in Wathena, Kansas on June 9th, 2012. Prior to her disappearance, Jamie had recently been prosecuted in a juvenile court for drug possession. She was due in court for her sentencing shortly after her disappearance. Jamie never showed up and was never seen by her foster family again. There was unfortunately very little media coverage on Jamie's disappearance, likely due to her runaway status. 3 years later, during the early morning hours of May 30th, 2015, Kansas City resident called the police to report a shootout in the 2500 block of Ridge Avenue. According to the witness, 2 vehicles fired shots at each other, and a female passenger in one of the vehicles was killed as a result. The female passenger's body was dumped on the side of the road, and the vehicles drove off before police arrived. 2 days later, on June 1st, 2015, authorities announced that the slain female was identified as Jamie. The identity of Jamie's killer remains unknown, as does the identity of the driver in the car Jamie was riding in when she was shot. Additionally, Jamie's whereabouts from June 2012 to May 2015 still remain a mystery. Although she was ultimately found in Kansas City, it's unknown where she stayed or how she survived during those 3 years. Investigators said they did receive a tip that Jamie was in Kansas City back in 2013, but when they followed said lead, they were unable to find her. At that time, police were searching for a late 1990s or early 2000s white Ford F-150 with flare sides, tinted windows, 20-inch chrome rims, and a touchscreen device in the cab. The truck was located on June 2nd, 2015, unoccupied, and was taken and processed for evidence. If anybody has any information regarding Jamie's murder, please call the Wathena, Kansas Police Department at 785-989-4521, or you can call the tips line anonymously at 816-474-8477, or the KBI at 1-800-572-7463, or you can scan that Say It Here QR code on the flyer, and it'll take you to the Crime Stoppers page where you can submit your tip there. And this is the case that really gets me fired up about, the whole runaway label thing, and why sometimes I don't think that they, really take runaways seriously, because some people automatically label them as a bad kid because they are a runaway, and they don't stop to think. Some of these kids are not in foster care by their own actions. Sometimes they're in foster care by the actions of their parents. Now, it sounds like with Jamie, might have been her own actions. I don't know. But irregardless, they still need to be taken seriously, and every effort needs to be made to find them and get them back to where they need to be, so they can be safe and not out there on the streets getting shot up. It's just crazy. I did a flyer for a young lady that's missing from Belleville. I think I have her lined up for tonight's show. And there's been some sightings over here in town, and I had somebody message me giving me basically a play-by-play on where they're seeing her at, and I messaged it to who needed to be messaged to. And I was eventually messaged and told that the police basically stood there and watched her run off, because they told the person, I guess it was her mom, told her mom that unless she's committing a crime, they cannot pursue them. They told her mom that they cannot make her go with her mom. They cannot make her go with them, and just basically watched her run.
So what can they do? I mean, what is the purpose if they can't make them go anywhere?
It royally made me mad, and I told the guy, I said, they need to call the police department and demand to talk to the chief or the supervisor and find out what the heck's going on, because that does not sound any way, shape, or form right to me at all. At all. So it's just crazy, and
if they're going to do a flyer or, put them on the website, they need to be looked. I mean, if you see them, they need to be picked up.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. I truly believe there's probably some officers on our police department that really don't know what they should be doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I could be wrong, but I mean, it sounds so stupid to me to say, oh, well, we can't grab them or pursue them unless they're breaking the law, and we can't make her go with you, and we can't make her go with us. And it's like, horse crap.
Yeah.
That makes no sense at all. I think if I would have been standing there when all this happened, I would have said, get your supervisor's butt on the phone now and get him down here right now. Is what I would have done. And everybody knows I have the utmost respect for law enforcement, that I back the blue as much as I can. But when I hear stuff like that, it irritates the holy living crap out of me.
Right.
Yeah, it really does. And then I have another issue that I've been dealing with today with trying to help somebody get a missing persons report filed for somebody, saying, well, because of their age, we can't do that. And that's horse crap. That goes against the statute that states when any law enforcement agency in Kansas is notified of a missing person, they are to, without delay, file a missing persons report and have it entered in NCIC and on the Kansas or the KBI's website within 2 hours of filing the report. The only way they can refuse is if they have found that person and know that they're safe and okay, or they know another law enforcement agency has already filed that report. Those are the only way they can refuse to file a report. They can't refuse it any other way. So this hiding behind the age thing's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, and hiding behind, well, we have to wait 24 hours. We have to wait 48 hours. No, that was done away with in 2016, 8 years ago. Get up to speed. there's your statute right there on the screen. You know, and I posted it on KMU this morning, so it's maybe 3 flyers down from the top. But yeah, I posted it on there. So if you guys want to read it, you guys want to share it, you guys want to screenshot it, you want to, share it. That's what I said on the post was to screenshot it, share it, print it, keep it handy just in case you ever should come up against needing it, so you have it.
Right.
I mean, that's just, it irritates me. I've been doing this 12 and a half years and it still irritates me. Of course, the statute didn't come up till 2016. So for the first 4 years I was doing this, there was no statute. But since it's been up and running, and I've had to send it to many families that were getting a runaround. As soon as I sent it to them, a little time went by and I got back. I showed it to them and they got on the stick and they got it done. Well, good.
There
like I said,
have to be statutes like this. I mean, if a human is missing, we need to find them.
Yeah. And the runaway that I was referring to here in town that they just watched run and whatever, she's 13. Okay. 13 years old. Okay. So just so that's out there. She, and I think I do have her flyer lined up for the show here after bid, I do believe. Let me see if it's on the list here. I'm looking at the flyers.
When I was a kid, if I would have ran away, the cops would have scooped me up, made me go back home, or take me.
She's in there.
Wherever, and that would have been it. I mean, my grandmother made me check in every 30 minutes, and if I didn't check in, she was calling the local police department, and they were having to track me down and bring me home so I could check in. I could go back out.
Which name, Ricky?
It's Iviana Hall.
Okay.
It's 10 o'clock.
Well.
Oh, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we kind of went over, didn't we?
Well, 10:15 would be the hour.
Yeah.
Well, here, let's just kind of go in order because I can't find it. But you said it there, so.
Yeah, she's in there. I saw her, but she's in there. This is Jonathan Jensen. He is missing from Kerwin, Kansas since June 14th, 2023. He was 52 when he went missing, is now 54. He's 5'11", 190 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. He left without his vehicle, his cell phone, or his wallet. If you have any information regarding Jonathan's disappearance or you know his whereabouts, please call the Phillips County, Kansas Sheriff's Office at 785-543-6885 or KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't help get Jonathan located and back to his family. And hopefully we can help do that. And that's the goal.
His sister, was it his sister or his wife that was watching the last couple of weeks?
I thought it was his daughter.
Daughter. daughter. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about.
You never do.
No.
Right. Yeah. And I see Margaret DeYounger says, don't forget to support this channel and the work they do to find Kansas missing and unsolved cases. It's free. Yep. Share the show out there. Share the flyers on the page. Let everybody know we're out here and what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I've been doing it, not the podcast itself, but I've been doing the page for 12 and a half years. So podcast we've been doing for what, 6 years or so now?
4. We started right
4?
October. Yeah.
Okay. I knew it's been a few years.
Well,
Yeah,
it'll be 5 in January.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Good to know that. So we'll be 5 years old. The podcast will be 5 years old in January. Cool. All right. Well, this is Cynthia Renee Gonzalez. Let's see. On September 17, 1991, Cynthia Renee Gonzalez was reported missing to the Arlington, Texas Police Department. On September 22nd, 1991, Cynthia's body was discovered in a creek bed off County Road 313 in Johnson County, Texas. It was later determined that Cynthia died from multiple gunshot wounds. Cynthia was reportedly at her apartment with her boyfriend when her husband stopped by to deliver their daughter for a weekend visit. Sometime later, she left for an appointment with her customary bodyguard. She was never seen again. Serial killer Kenneth Allen McDuff was looked at in connection with Cynthia's death. Jim Ford, longtime Arlington police officer and renowned homicide investigator, had looked at McDuff in connection with Cynthia's case for going on 18 years. He was never able to make a match or a mismatch. McDuff was believed to have abducted a victim from a car wash in Austin, Texas. Cynthia's car, a 2-seat Pontiac Fiero, was seen parked at a car wash in Arlington the day she disappeared. There were similarities in the Austin case and Cynthia's case. He kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and killed his victim at a car wash in Austin. He dumped the bodies of several of his victims in rural areas. He killed several victims by shooting them. Investigators could not place McDuff in Arlington and could not determine whether he was out on the streets at the time. They could not find him as being incarcerated either. Other persons of interest have come up and have been cleared as well. McDuff was eventually ruled out by DNA testing. If you have any information regarding Cynthia's death, please contact Detective Stafford at 817-459-5772. If you wish to remain anonymous and possibly receive a reward of up to $1,250, please call Toronto County, Texas Crime Stoppers at 817-469-8477. And see if we can't get some justice for Cynthia and her family and friends and her kids.
Absolutely.
I was reading Margaret DeYounger's in New York. The 10 o'clock news, Fox Channel 5 opened with, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
I haven't heard
It's a good
that
question.
yet.
10 o'clock at 9. I haven't heard that in a long time. Wow. I think a lot of other stations might have done that at one point too.
Yeah. I miss watching, but now there's too many options.
Yeah, I know.
In Elkhart, I think you either watched Wichita or Amarillo. I think for a little while when I was a kid, Garden City maybe had a tiny TV station.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you either watched Amarillo or Wichita. But we watched it every night.
Yeah. And this is one that's, she's been missing quite a long time too. Benita Jaden Wallace, missing from Kansas City, Kansas since October 11th, 2022. She was 15 when she went missing. She's now 17, 5'5", 130 pounds, brown hair that was dyed red and black, and brown eyes. It's believed that she may still be in the Kansas City, Wyandotte County, Kansas area. And she was 15 when she went missing. She's now 17. She's 5'5", weighs 130 pounds. At the time of her disappearance, her brown hair was dyed black and red. The red had faded, and the underside of her hair was shaved, and she had brown eyes. She has a small tattoo of 2 small black triangles on her upper right arm and a birthmark on the back of her right leg. She was last seen wearing a pink and blue hoodie and blue jeans. If you have any information regarding Benita's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department at 913-596-3000. Or the KBI at 785-296-4017. And see if we can't help get Benita located and back to where she needs to be.
Yeah.
We still got 10 minutes to even hit an hour.
And this is Lakeland Vale.
It's a pretty name.
Yeah, I like that name. Looking for her on my list, and as usual, there's always got to be one that I miss. So let me grab it. It'll take me a second.
Steph, do you see that spelling?
Oh boy, I'm pulling it. Oop. Pulling it right now.
And then Bale.
Missing from Wichita, Kansas since October 17th, 2024. She's 16, 5'3", 120 pounds. Her hair was last known to be dyed black and shows brown eyes. She was last known to be wearing a black hoodie, a black shirt, and black and white pajama pants. If you have any information regarding Lakeland's disappearance, you know her whereabouts, please call the Wichita, Kansas Police Department at 316-660-9456 or 316-660-9254 or 316-263-6011 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get her located and back to where she needs to be.
16.
Yeah.
It's a rough age.
Yeah.
Even if everything goes great, it's a rough age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we've covered her in the past, and I was asked to revitalize her flyer and get it going again. Because apparently she's missing again, this time from Topeka, Kansas. Well, last time was Topeka as well. Topeka, Kansas since October 23rd, 2024. She's 17. She's 5'9", 200 pounds. Black hair with braids and brown eyes. Her eyes nose is pierced on both sides, as you can see, especially in the center photo there. If you have any information regarding Soraya's disappearance, or you know her whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department, 785-368-9247 or 785-368-9551 or 785-368-9200 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get her located and back to where she needs to be.
You can do it if you want. You know what's up.
I hear that, Margaret. When I was growing up, we had channels 2 through 13, and if you wanted HBO or Showtime or anything like that, you had to get an additional box to hook up your TV to be able to pull those in.
Yep.
Definitely remember those days. And this is Robert Marshall Jr. He's missing from Topeka, Kansas. This is November 3rd, 2024. He's 18, 6'2", 210 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. Don't have any more than that on him. If you have any information regarding Robert's disappearance, you know his whereabouts, please call the Topeka, Kansas Police Department at 785-368-9200 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 and see if we can't get Robert located and back to where he needs to be. And this is another unsolved homicide from Wichita. And we'll probably see a lot more of these kinds of flyers coming up because I just found a website. Well, I think it's Wichita Police Department's website, but they have a cold case page and there's like 200 cases on it.
Oh,
so
wow.
Guess what I'm doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Caleb Ingram. This is back on June.
Oh, go ahead. I have a question when you're done.
Okay. Back on June 23rd, 2021 in Wichita. Caleb Ingram, 17, was sitting in a vehicle outside 5308 East Countryside talking to a friend when an unknown person walked up and started shooting. Caleb was struck numerous times and later died of his injuries. Police believe that this was not a random act. They believe it was a choreographed, plotted shooting. If you have any information regarding Caleb's murder, please call the Wichita Police Department's cold case unit at 316-268-4379 or 316-268-4609 or Wichita Sedgwick County, Kansas Crime Stoppers at 316-267-2111 or they have a QR code on the flyer there that you can scan and it'll take you to the Crime Stoppers website and you can submit a tip that way also. So if you know something, please say something.
Oh, I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
How long ago did you do the 52 card deck, and have you heard anything about a deck for Kansas?
I did that. Was it last year? Or yeah, it was last year. I think it was last year. I haven't heard any more on the second deck. They were talking like when I initially talked to them because I asked them about that, and they were hoping to. So I'm still waiting to hear whether there's going to be a second one in the works or not. I'd be interested in getting it if so. because I do have the first. They sent me a couple complimentary ones for my input in creating the deck as far as contributing cases goes. As I sent them, I think 35.
Oh,
I think it
wow.
was. So yeah, and some of them are in the deck actually. So yeah, and they also did me the honor of, on the website that talks about the cards and everything. If you look under resources, they have Kansas Missing and Unsolved listed as a resource too. So I thought that was pretty cool that they did that. Yep. Hopefully they do a second deck though, because I think we need one. Because there's a lot more cases out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This is the second one that I've done off of that page so far, and like I said, there'll probably be a lot more coming. So my brother's actually doing research to find photos for me, because on their summaries they don't have photos, so we're having to track down photos. This was back on October 30th, 2021. Diego Benitez was shot and pushed out of a champagne-colored Chrysler Town and Country van at 1300 West Walker in Wichita. He died from these injuries. He appears to willingly get into the van, but the van drives just a very short distance and gunshots are heard. There were at least 3 people in the van at the time of the shooting. If you have any information regarding Diego's murder, please call the Wichita Police Department Cold Case Detective Addie Perkins at 316-268-4379, or Detective Robert Chisholm at 316-268-4609, or the Wichita Sedgwick County Crime Stoppers at 316-267-2111. Or again, there's the QR code on the flyer that you can scan, and it'll take you to the Crime Stoppers website, and you can submit your tip there as well. So again, if you know something, say something, please. And Margaret is leaving. It's 11 p.m. New York City. You have to go. Good night, everyone. Good night, Margaret. Thank you for hanging around with us for a while. And this is the one I was referring to earlier, Iviana Hall. Oh, where are you at in my list? I know you're on here somewhere. Oh, at the very top, of course. This is Iviana Hall. She's missing from Belleville, Kansas since Halloween, October 31st, 2024. She's 13, 5'3", 107 pounds, dark brown hair and brown eyes. She was missing around 4:30 that afternoon. She was last seen getting in a black newer Jeep Cherokee with an 18-year-old adult female from Salina. It's unknown if there were more people in the vehicle besides her and the 18-year-old. It's believed that she may still be in Belleville, or she may be in the Hutchinson or Wichita, Kansas area, or she may be heading to the Miami, Florida area. Like I said, there have been sightings of her here in town recently, and those have been passed on. That hopefully, as I have explained, apparently it's going to take some doing to get her nailed down. But anyway, and she's 13. She's 5'3", 107 pounds, dark brown hair and brown eyes. Seen wearing a black t-shirt and blue jeans. And from the information that I was given the other day, she's apparently been carrying a black backpack as well. So if you have any information regarding Aviana's disappearance, or you know her whereabouts, please call 911 immediately. Or call the Republic County Emergency Communications at 785-527-7237, or Republic County Dispatch at 785-527-5655, or the KBI at 785-296-4017, or your local law enforcement agency. Let's see if they can't get her found and then actually do something about it.
Right.
Because this is what I was talking about earlier. It frustrates the heck out of me. So
yeah, I mean, what's the point of calling the police department if they can't make her go anywhere?
that's what they're saying anyway. I don't understand that. Clearly, they can. I mean, it doesn't make sense that they can't.
Right.
So
I know there was a situation here in town not too long ago, and a friend of mine, the cops got called, and she was trying to get her son to go home with her. And when the cop showed up, he goes, I can stand here and make sure nobody gets hurt, but I can't make him do anything.
Right.
And I'm like, what is the point then?
That's weird. Okay. Okay, and this one is one. Oh, he was actually found, so we can delete him. He was found.
Okay.
I forgot to remove. I thought I removed him. I guess I didn't. Guess I did not. But yeah, he was found, thankfully.
Thank
Yeah, this is
you.
Jaden Stewart. I was asked today to re-add the photo where he's got the hoodie cinched up around his head, so I did, and I wanted to go ahead and cover him again as such. So, let's see. I just got to look at his flyer on my list. I have so many flyers in this list; it's crazy. Okay, he is missing from Grandview Plaza, Kansas since October 9th, 2024. He's 17. He's 5'6" to 5'11". Weighs between 120 and 180 pounds. Has blonde, light brown hair and blue eyes. It's last seen in the area of Flint Hills Boulevard and K57 Highway in Grandview Plaza, Geary County, Kansas. Again, he's 17, 5'6" to 5'11", weighs between 120 and 180 pounds. Has blonde, light brown hair that was last known to be dyed dark and blue eyes. It's last seen wearing a light gray sweatshirt, brown sweatpants, black socks, and black slides. If you have any information regarding Jaden's disappearance or you know of his whereabouts, please do not attempt to make contact. Instead, call the Grandview Plaza Kansas Police Department at 785-762-4271 or the KBI at 785-296-4017 or your local law enforcement agency. So let's help get him found.
I think that's it, Ricky. I'm not sure. It says no statute. So
Yeah, that's it.
That was the last one?
And we only went a minute and 54 seconds over. That's pretty good for this crew.
Yeah.
We're getting better.
All right. Well,
Well,
hopefully we can help get some folks found and get some unsolved homicides solved and get some justice for some folks. And
then we're going to try to start at 9 next week instead of 9:15 just because we know it's so dark that it feels like it's midnight right now. Ricky's going to do his prayer to get out of here, but just real quick, we love Dan Faulkner. He was a teacher here at Elkhart. We just found out he passed, and
oh wow,
best teacher I've ever, just the coolest guy ever. So if anybody in his family or friends ever see this, this sucks. And but thank you, Dan Faulkner, for being a badass for so long. But go ahead, Rick.
Okay. Well, Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight to do these missing persons cases and unsolved homicide cases. And we pray that they reach the right ears and the right hearts. They'll do the right things and call in what they know so these folks can be brought home and these unsolved homicides can be solved. And, and just pray also that law enforcement will do the right thing with these missing persons when they're notified about them. Give them the wisdom and the ability to know what to do and do it. Until we see each other next week, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we pray these things in your name, Heavenly Father. Amen.
Amen.